few weeks ago on Right Now, we interviewed Ian Clifford from Matrix Freedom. He'd set up the organisation to help people get out of debt by changing their birth certificate status and using principles similar to common law. We got a huge reaction from viewers and many of you wanted more information. Well, our final guest this evening was helped by Matrix Freedom and says his story proves that you can take on the monetary system and win. Ex-fashion boss Kevin Stanford was once worth £500 million, but nearly lost it all after becoming a victim of fraud. He spent 10 years and £8 million trying to get his assets back, but with no success. Then he came across Matrix Freedom. It used private law principles to stop his house being repossessed and set off all of his court fees. Kevin's story is pretty incredible, and he's here to share it with us. Kevin, welcome to Right Now. Thanks for joining us. You were an extremely successful figure in the fashion world and built a considerable empire. Tell us about that time in your life.
It was a fantastic time. I started Karen Millen when I was 21 with Karen, and we built it up from literally £100, and we built a £100 million company in by 2000, and which was very proud of, and we actually come to sell the business in 2004 for 120 million.
Wow.
I was still at that time pretty young, and I wanted to do a lot more. And then I bought All Saints and worked with other investors to build up a portfolio of over 500 million pounds, as you've just explained. But then after the bankruptcy, the successors of Calvin used my assets to start a new bank, and then, as you've already explained, that I wasted 10 years of my life and my last £8 million back in litigation. And it was only after I went bankrupt that I discovered that the judicial system, the legal system, is completely controlled by the banks, and it's not designed for justice. It's designed it's a completely rigged system. And it's you really have to run out of money so that you don't have any lawyers to tell you that that's just not the case, because they're actually not representing you; they're representing you as a fictional entity in commerce, and you don't stand a hope in hell of winning. But you need to run out of money to really understand it. And I was lucky enough to meet Ian and what he's done at Matrix Freedom, and discover that everything is about commerce. And if you act as a sentient and not as a person, a legal person or a citizen, everything's resolvable. And you understand that mortgage and contract and credit and tax and is all just fiction, and it's all resolvable as a sentient.
So what was the main issues? What was the main problems you had financially to go from having obviously this 500 million portfolio to bankruptcy?
Well, they it's quite strange. They took my assets and still claimed for the debt. It's like someone taking your house and saying, "I still want the debt that you didn't lend me anyway." But that was effectively what happened. And I spent years trying to prove what had happened, but in the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. And you come across 6-year statute of limitation, which is designed to really work against you, because it takes you that long to prove what happened. And then once you do, they say, "Oh, sorry about that. You're past the statute." And,
I bet they do.
And not slightly interested in who's right or wrong. It doesn't matter. It's just all, collecting money for the banks and whoever controls them.
So when you came across Matrix Freedom, were you sceptical at all? That someone's come along and said, "Look, there's a different way of working."
Yeah. I was very sceptical, but I was very, very intrigued, and I did quite a bit of work, and Ian guided me in the right direction with certain videos and everything. And you said, really, it's just a simple fact. When you understand how the monetary system is set up by security of persons and who controls the fact that the Bank of England and the Fed is all privately run companies, things that I'd never, we're programmed at school not to understand those sort of things, not question anything. just think that we're looked after by the government, and it's just, and you just find out that they're all corporations, which is, it's a paradigm shift. It's incredible, but I think you have to suffer a trauma or go through something really quite dramatic to really understand how it works. And when you do, it's quite enlightening, and I'm very pleased to have been woken up, and I'm very pleased to have met Ian and Matrix Freedom, and who've enabled me to settle pretty much every issue I had.
That's great. So what exactly is private law, and how does it work, and how did they get it? How did Matrix Freedom make it work for you?
Private law is acting as a sentinel. You can agree new contracts with other living beings, and through unrebutted affidavits, and form new contracts, and it enables you to pierce the corporate veil. People can't get away from the fraud. They can't hide from the fraud. They can't hide, and they have to swear an affidavit to break that agreement, and they won't do that. You know, they know what happened, and they're just hiding behind their lawyers, and this manages to pierce that the legal system, which is rigged.
Has your opinion of the monetary and the legal system, to be fair, has it changed after what's happened to you? This is a silly question. It has, yeah.
Well, the legal system is just designed as a collector of. It's a corporation. There is the banks are a corporate. Obviously, the banks are a corporation, but the courts are a corporation. It's controlled by the City of London, which is not even part of the UK. And your solicitors or your barristers are sworn allegiance to the Bar Association, which is controlled by the City of London, which is controlled by the banks. You don't stand a hope, and they would just run you dry of money and then stop picking up the phone when you're bankrupt. You will not win against the banks in court. You will win in the private. You will not win in the public.
Do you see parallels?
Sorry?
So do you see parallels then between obviously what's happened to you and in terms of fighting the establishment and the legal system with how people are trying to challenge the virus restrictions and stuff like that? Because it feels like a lot of people have taken the government to court in terms of lockdown, and it's just like you just said, you're never going to win playing that game.
No, you've always got to go in the private. You're never going to win in court. You as soon as you go into court, you realise you're in their realm. You need to go to a higher realm. You need to go to not person to person, living being to living, sentinel to sentinel. And that's where the justice is. There's no justice in the courts. They're not designed. It's all about merchant law, and they're not in the slightest designed for justice. I think it's so important to spread the word.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.